Hello, a very good evening to you. Welcome to ITV News with Matt Price and Ian White on what is the final full edition of Calendar before Christmas.
Yeah, hello, thank you for joining us. Here are tonight's main stories.
Morning. Are you okay, my love?
Out in the cold, how an epidemic in bad mental health and dangerous drugs are fueling a rough sleeping crisis this Christmas.
It is about as bad as you can imagine. You try and find squats or buildings if you can, but if not, then there's a real health risk.
At the minute, there's some really strong drugs going around. Obviously, there's been the rise of fentanyl, but there's another type of drug called nitazines. They're really, really potent.
191. So unfortunately, you've blown well over the legal limit.
Off the charts, the shocking moment this drink driver was found to be 6 times the legal limit after being stopped on the M1.
The biggest Christmas surprise, how this 18-year-old went to celebrate her birthday in Turkey and ended up with a newborn baby girl.
She's been to the doctors because she had chicken pox just before we came out. Even the doctor had no clue she was pregnant.
I had backache, but we put that down to I had an injury in my back, like with rugby. So we just put it down to the injury.
And cooking up a storm, how 7-year-old chef Imogen is serving festive fun and happiness to hundreds who need it. But first to the growing number of people preparing to spend Christmas on the streets, with one charity seeing a 70% increase in the number of sleepers it's helping.
An emerging mental health crisis coupled with the prevalence of new powerful drugs is fueling the problem, and cash-strapped support groups say they're struggling to cope.
Well, our reporter Ben Basin has been in Sheffield, one of our worst affected cities, to see the work ongoing there.
As the steel city wakes on a cold December morning, for dozens of people, concrete and tarmac is their bed. But before dawn, there's already help at hand for those who spent the night on the streets.
We're from Framework, so we're just checking you're okay. What's your name, my love? We go out on outreach every single morning of the year, so we start at 6 a.m, even on Christmas Day. And we're really just going around to see who's rough sleeping, where they are, and check they're okay.
We're spending the morning with the charity Framework as they patrol the city centre in search of those who need help.
Morning. Are you okay, my love?
After checking in on a number of rough sleepers, we come across a former client of the team. Alex slept rough on the streets of Sheffield for 18 months.
Frankly, it's terrifying, especially someone like me. I'm a bit of a sort of loner. It's just, it is about as bad as you can imagine, just trying to find somewhere sort of safe, trying to find somewhere that's quiet but not too quiet, you know.
During winter it must be freezing as well.
Yeah, it is freezing. Look, you try and find squats or buildings if you can, but if not, then there's a real health risk.
Although Alex has now been housed, many more are not. Sheffield has one of the highest rates of street homelessness outside of London. The number of people sleeping rough on a single night rose 72% in the past year.
It just keeps growing. Our clients as well do seem to have very complex needs. So the mental health seems to be getting worse, substance misuse is getting worse.
And it's not long before we witness those complex needs firsthand. We come across a man lying on the floor inside a multi-storey car park, seemingly asleep. The team suspect he's under the influence of drugs.
At the minute, there's some really strong drugs going around. Obviously, there's been the rise of fentanyl, but there's another type of drug called nitazines. They're really, really potent. So I think they're about 100 times stronger than fentanyl. So a lot of the time when we come across someone who's seemingly asleep, it's really important that we check that they're breathing.
The rise in demand puts pressure on Framework's small team in the city, but they're not alone.
And 2 eggs.
No, 1 egg.
Oh, 1 egg, sorry, yeah.
In a building behind the cathedral, the Archer Project offers support to those who've been on the streets, and they're busier than ever. Dean has been volunteering here. He now has a full-time job at a company in Sheffield, all while sleeping rough at night.
Very difficult at the moment because I have to balance life in. So I've got somebody that we sleep on the streets together. He keeps my stuff on him so I can go to work. I then pretty much go to work, come back and we sleep outside. So for the last 3 months I've been sleeping on concrete. You know, it's very difficult. It's like you have to sleep with one eye open.
We're double what we were doing 18 months ago. So in terms of breakfast, lunches, and really that tests the whole system. If we're not moving people away from the street into first level accommodation or further, then all the system feels busy. And we can't do those really important things like relationship build with a small group of people, which actually helps people move on into a better life.
Have you ever seen it this busy before?
Never.
With stretched council budgets, there are real fears for the future of these vital support services in Sheffield. And for those who will spend the festive period on the streets, the colourful lights of Christmas will do little to brighten the darkest of times.
Ben Bason reporting there, and we could join Ben, who's in Goole. And of course, Ben, it's a problem which affects towns and cities right across the region. You've actually travelled 40 miles northeast to Goole, as I say, for us, where one man's choosing to sleep on the streets to raise awareness and funds to help tackle the problem. That's right, isn't it?
That's right, Ian. Yes, it's pretty cold here. There's quite a chilly breeze. Despite that cold weather, though, as you heard in my report, many people across our region will be bedding down tonight on the concrete to spend the night on the streets. One of those is Mark Penn. Now, Mark Penn actually used to be a rough sleeper. He slept rough for about 6 months. He's since turned his life around and now supports those who are homeless. Mark, tell us a little bit about what you're doing here over the next couple of days.
Yeah, for the next couple of days I'm going to be sleeping outside rough for 48 hours, and that's basically to bring awareness to the local authorities that even in small towns such as Goole, where we all come together, and it's an upcoming town, as you can see the buildings here behind us, that we're trying to help the homeless.
And you're prepared, ready for a cold night, aren't you? You know, wrapping up warm.
Yeah, it's going to be a very cold night tonight, dark, cold, wet, so yeah, we're trying the best we can.
What's it like for people sleeping rough, particularly around this time of year at Christmas?
I suppose it's hard for them around here this time of Christmas because 1, cold nights, 2, it's dark nights, and 3, it's that time of the year, Christmas as well, so it's going to be very hard for the homeless people.
Mark, thank you very much indeed. Well, we're being urged to keep those who haven't got a home in our thoughts this Christmas. Those support services are pretty stretched, as you heard in my report, in terms of their resources. The government this week have announced that they're putting £1 billion of extra funding to help homelessness services. £48 million of that is coming to our region, and some of it is specifically going to help rough sleeping. That'll be welcome news for those who are supporting some of the most vulnerable members of our society.
Yes, indeed. Ben Bason live in Goole for us. Thank you.
Well, next to an extraordinary video released by South Yorkshire Police, which shows a motorist blowing almost 6 times the drink-drive limit when she's breathalyzed by officers.
It happened yesterday on the M1 after police were called to reports of a crash. When they got to the scene, they found a female driver who appeared so drunk she couldn't even walk to the police car without falling over. She's now appeared in court. John Hill reports.
Come on, Pet.
Right, give me your phone.
No, come on, we're in the middle of the motorway, Pet. Come on.
It's just before 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon. Police are called to reports of a collision on the M1. On arrival, the top priority is to get a woman from the car that stopped in a live lane of the motorway to safety.
Jonesy, whereabouts are you, mate? We're practically in a live lane here and I can't get her off floor.
She can barely stand.
Get up then.
Shut up.
We're on the motorway, Pet.
All right, you
Well, come
can't
on,
get
then.
up.
The suspicion, she's over the limit.
Road traffic collision, and I think you may have had a drink. I'm going to ask you to provide me with a sample of breath. All right?
The scale of the reading that officers are about to record is why, say South Yorkshire Police, that they've decided to release this video.
191. So unfortunately, you've blown well over the legal limit.
That legal limit is 35. But back at the station, she refused to provide a test for evidence. Today, 39-year-old Sarah Liggett of Shakespeare Road in Oldham pleaded guilty to failing to provide a specimen for analysis. Her indicative roadside sample is the highest so far detected in the Force's Christmas Drink Drive campaign. But officers know she won't be the last. In fact, over last Christmas, they pulled over 119 drivers who were over the limit. Officers say it's a clear and obvious danger. Sarah Liggett will return to court in February to be sentenced. John Hill, ITV News.
More of the day's news now, and tributes have been paid to a footballer from Cottingham who died after an attack at York Station. 32-year-old James Hitchcock, who was the goalkeeper for the non-league Lincolnshire club Barton FC, died in hospital on Wednesday. His family say he was one in a million and that his memory will live on in the life of his baby boy. Well, 22-year-old Mackenzie DiCeccio, a former Scarborough athletic player, has been charged with murder and was further remanded at Leeds Crown Court today.
5 serving West Yorkshire police officers have been sacked and 3 of their former colleagues told they've been dismissed over a WhatsApp group featuring routine misogyny and casual racism. The Pudsey-based officers were found guilty of gross misconduct over derogatory, offensive and discriminatory messages posted in the group. They also shared photographs of scenes of death, car crashes, missing people and detainees. The misconduct hearing heard the group was characterised by mean-spirited and bullying remarks about colleagues and members of the public.
A judge is set to rule whether evicting Sheffield's famous Leadmill music venue from the building it's been in for more than 4 decades breaks the law. The Leadmill's bosses are fighting plans by the owners of the building, Electric Group, to force them to close. A 4-day hearing ended in Leeds today and a decision will be made after Christmas. The Leadmill opened its doors 44 years ago and has played host to Pulp as well as a string of famous names, including Coldplay and Oasis.
It's sort of one of the last really great British grassroots music venues, and I feel like it just needs to stay as it is. I think it's so important for musicians like myself and people that are passionate about the Leadmill to speak out about how they feel about it.
Now you're watching Friday Night's Calendar with Ian White and Matt Price. Thank you for being with us.
Yes, still to come before 6:30. We guarantee...
And mistletoe might be a sure thing at Christmas time. A white Christmas, not so much. I'll have the latest detail in the run-up to the big day a little later on.
I'll be looking forward to hearing that choir later on in the programme, of course. Now then, when Iona Miller from Batley booked a holiday in Turkey to celebrate her 18th birthday, she wasn't expecting to spend time in hospital having a baby.
In fact, she had absolutely no idea that she was pregnant. Iona was taken to hospital with back pain, but she ended up giving birth to a baby girl.
But now she's stuck in Turkey along with her mum Sarah, while the British and Turkish authorities sort out important paperwork and a passport for the baby. Well, I spoke to them earlier about their race to get home by Christmas and asked when they knew something out of the ordinary was happening.
We'd come to the hotel room and my daughter started with pains, but she said it felt in her back, so she thought she was constipated. So we gave her a laxative, but the pains got worse come Saturday morning. So we got the hotel doctor up here who thought she may have appendicitis, so she phoned an ambulance. And then we went in the ambulance and the labour must have started in the ambulance.
Wow. So, I mean, you must have been really worried at this point, thinking it could have been whatever.
Yeah, it wasn't nice at all. They rushed us straight into the ER department and wouldn't let us through at first. And then when they did let me through, she pulled the covers back and the baby's head was there, still in the sack. I think they ended up having to maybe nearly treat me for shock because I was certainly shaking and I felt like I was going to pass out. I didn't know what to do.
And obviously, you know, you and Iona are very close, and there'd been absolutely no hint that Iona was pregnant.
No hint whatsoever. She's been to the doctors because she had chicken pox just before we came out. Even the doctor had no clue she was pregnant.
Iona, was there anything at all that you could tell us that now looking back, you think perhaps, oh yeah, I should have known?
No, it's like I had backache, but we put that down to I had an injury in my back, like with rugby. So we just put it down to the injury.
And Iona, I mean, you know, when people are pregnant, they sort of mentally adjust to the fact that they're going to have a baby, don't they? And they become mentally prepared for it. You've suddenly just had to become a mum like that. So how difficult has that been?
I mean, it's been tricky, but I think I've just got up and got on with it.
Obviously, Christmas is coming and you'd like to be home for Christmas, but there's a few little complications, is that right? Can you tell us about that?
We do, yes. So we've got to have a British overseas passport application in place to be able to get an overseas travel document. But because we wasn't aware of that, it's been a tricky process to have been needing the baby's birth certificate from Turkey, and then we had to go to a health department, didn't we, to get a stamp on a Ministry of Birth report as well.
When you go on holiday for your 18th birthday, you can sometimes come back with maybe a hangover and a balloon.
Yeah.
You've come back with something different.
My boyfriend said, didn't he? He said, I've sent you out there to get me a watch, not a baby.
Yeah, I mean, what's he had to say about it all?
He's obviously in shock and he's upset that we're still out here and he hasn't had time to meet her yet or a chance to, he's obviously missing out on she's nearly 2 weeks old on Saturday, so he's missing out on the first stages and things. So I know he's coping, but I know he's upset about, he'll just want some home as soon as possible.
And how is little Alana?
She's good. She's just doing the normal stuff. She just feeds and sleeps. That's all she ever does.
She gave us a little bit of a scare in the hospital, didn't she?
Yeah.
We had to stay in 2 days because the sugar level dropped a little bit. But other than that, she's doing really well. She has to feed her every 2 hours because she was a little bit early. But other than that, she's absolutely smashing it.
So are you really, really working hard to get home for Christmas?
Yeah, we're fighting. We've got family fighting in England. We're fighting here. Like I say, the embassy are trying to help, but it's all over the telephone. And because you speak to different people, it's got a bit miscommunicated.
I hope you get home for Christmas. Whatever happens, whether you're in Turkey or in Yorkshire, I hope you have a lovely time.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Merry Christmas and thank you very much.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Now, how about that, Matt, for a story?
I know. Bit of a surprise for her, I should imagine.
Went for a watch and came back with a baby. Time for some sport now and an early Christmas present for Sheffield Wednesday fans.
Xero Accounting Software sponsors ITV Regional Sports Report.
And Arif joins us in the studio now. So Arif, what's the latest on the future of Sheffield Wednesday's Danny Rule then?
Well, Matt, speculation has been rife this week that Danny Rule will be poached away from Hillsborough. But don't worry, Sheffield Wednesday fans, he told me today he's going nowhere. The 35-year-old, who's been in charge for just over a year, has been linked with jobs in the Premier League and in his native Germany. And I started by asking him if he'd been contacted by any other clubs.
I think the most important key point is that I'm here. That I will, take the game tomorrow. I think it's always an honor when you get linked with Premier League clubs, and I think everybody knows my decision is clear. I will stay here in Sheffield Wednesday.
So you're confirming your commitment and your future to Sheffield Wednesday?
Future is a big word, I'm here. I think everybody knows I love this club. I love the supporters. I love my team. I think we achieved a lot of things in the last 14 months, and I think our journey is not over at the moment at this point, and we try and we want to improve as a team. I want to make the next step.
You mentioned January, it's around the corner. Have you or do you need assurances that the club's ambition matches yours? Because, as you say, you're in ninth and playoffs isn't out of the question for Sheffield Wednesday.
I think I will not speak about position in the table. I said we have to improve and we want to make the next step. And I said as well, let's see after the January, then we can speak about the outcome and the result. And this is a big point for me.
That'll be music to the ears of Wednesday fans. Now, on the other side of the city, Sheffield United head coach Chris Wilder says the takeover of the club is imminent. The Blades, who sit top of the Championship table, have been in talks regarding a sale since the summer. A deal worth more than £100 million is close to being completed. It would see an American consortium take the reins at Bramall Lane.
I live in the city, so I think we all understand the noise about it. It's getting pretty close, so we'll wait and see. Concentration, as always, from my point of view, and the staff is on the results that we can influence and control. But it does feel as if it's imminent.
And finally, from me, Leeds boxer Ismail Davis will be the chief support for the big night of boxing in Saudi Arabia tomorrow night. The 29-year-old has stepped in at the last minute to take on the Ukrainian Seri Boachuk. The super welterweight has turned his life around after 2 stints in prison as a teenager. The winner will go on to fight for the WBC world title. Yeah, good luck to him. Nice to see he's turned his life around.
Thank you very much, and Merry Christmas to you as well.
And to you, Matt.
OK, the ITV Evening News continues at 6:30. Here's Lucrezia Millerini.
Coming up, jailed for life, the double killer freed from prison because he was deemed low risk, but who went on to torture and kill again 4 years later. 2 men are charged after a disturbance at Manchester Airport in the summer, but no police officers will face charges. And we speak to the stars of Gavin and Stacey ahead of their festive finale. Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Thanks very much, Lucrezia. I have to say, Matt has not stopped all day. He's been asking me, is it going to be a white Christmas? Is it going to be a white... You're asking the wrong person.
I want to know. Sledge out and all of that business. So will it be?
Well, you only need one flake from a Met Office data site to give you a white Christmas, but there's almost no chance this year. And in the run-up this weekend, I was going on about the winds yesterday. We've now got weather warnings in place from the Met Office. It does just affect western parts, so certainly over the Pennines, the Dales, but they've extended it, the Met Office, all the way through to the A1. So if you're travelling basically tomorrow and Sunday, 50 to 60 mile an hour winds. It's going to be very blustery and they'll die down for a bit and then they'll just come out of nowhere. So this is Saturdays and this is Sundays, and it could change over the next few days, but just be aware that it is windy and it's also going to turn warm. It turns mild tonight and then it turns really cold into Sunday as well, which might mean that any of the showers could fall as wintry, certainly maybe a dusting over the North York Moors, for example, and the Dales, and then it'll change again as we head towards Christmas Day. Been saying it's going to be a mild one. It looks like under that area of high pressure that we've got around 12 Celsius. No one wants a 12 Celsius on Christmas Day, do they?
Not good enough. Really.
Mostly dry with light winds, probably. Now, I'm going to be the ghost of Christmas weather past now. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions.
OK.
What do you reckon the warmest and coldest Christmas day that we ever have had is?
Warmest?
Warmest, 8.
8?
Yeah, because that's still quite cool, isn't it?
Well, if it was warm, then that would mean this Christmas
no,
at
that's
12
low.
would be warmer.
Sorry, let's go high, 15.
Yeah. Just about. 14.5 Normanby. Malham Tarn, 1964 was the coldest. During the day, -3. And just to let you know that the snowiest was 43 centimetres in 2009 and the coldest night all the way back 1963. There you go.
I'm used to cold weather, obviously.
Thank you.
Now, finally, she's met just about every celebrity chef there is going. She's had dozens of bake sales and she's on her 6th year of delivering gifts to the elderly and vulnerable this Christmas.
Yes, all that. And she's only 7 years old. Imogen Bowley, or Chef Imogen, to give her a full title, couldn't speak until the age of 3 and was diagnosed with a developmental condition.
But she found her voice while baking and now raises thousands of pounds at Christmas to surprise her local community. Helen Steele went along for Imogen's latest present drop-off.
Any other child surrounded by 725 presents would want to rip into them. Not Imogen.
Next stop, Kirkstall. Ho, ho, ho.
She's on delivery number 7 today. And members of the Hawksworth Older People Service are the lucky recipients.
Thank you and a very Merry Christmas.
So Imogen, where did you get all these presents from?
Because we did a cake sale and a raffle.
Did you have to bake a lot?
Yeah.
350 cakes to be exact, raising almost £700 for all her presents.
Thank you, I love your hat.
And she's in no doubt who they're for.
I saw you in a room full of presents. How did you not open them? Was it tempting?
Because they're for the elderly.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Her love of baking began when she was 3.
Imogen's journey started when she was she's diagnosed with global development delay. She's still waiting for an autism assessment. When she's not a chef, she might need ear defenders and calming, where when she's a chef, she's unfazed. She'll go on stage, she'll have a good time.
And she's made sure these Christmas crafters had an even better time at their seasonal session.
She was gorgeous. Oh, she made it. Yeah, she made it.
Lovely and talented. She can bake, that's beautiful.
What do you think she'll go on to do when she's older?
Yes, probably be a cook or a chef, and she'll do really well.
And these are for her, are they?
They are. Shall I go give her them?
Yeah, definitely.
With all the gift giving, what's the Christmas chef receiving on the big day?
Have you been desperate to open some?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you know what you're getting?
I've only got 4.
Only got 4?
Yeah.
Daddy, she's giving out thousands.
Don't worry, turns out she's only asked for 4.
It's more about giving them, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luckily, there's 585 more to give out. So this chef needs to get back on the horse, or reindeer. Helen Steele, ITV News in Leeds.
Bless her. I think she's absolutely lovely. Any cakes that are on offer, we will have them here. Thank you very much,
yourself.
Imogen.
You'll have a cake, won't you? Let's get the weather forecast now from Kerry.
Today's forecast: seafood and sugar cube towns. TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Hello again. Yes, Christmas is still 5 days away. Plenty of weather to tell you about as we head into the weekend. The emphasis on those very strong to gale force winds over the Pennines. Very cold on Sunday. Anything wet, falling wintry, some hail, sleet, wet snow, maybe a covering over the hills. And then all changed for Christmas. Mild, but rather cloudy. But on a positive note, probably seeing the best of any bright spells on offer for the big day itself. So we've got low pressure to the north, giving us that very blustery story as we head into Saturday and Sunday. The colder air digging down as we head into Sunday, Monday, and then high pressure waiting in the wings to settle things down thereafter. So during the course of this evening and overnight tonight, we start off dry with clear spells after the afternoon and early evening rain, but it's all changed once more as we head into the early hours. The winds whipping up, the temperatures will become milder if anything, and outbreaks of rain, heavy at times, edging onto the Pennines. So as we head into tomorrow, it's a very windy start to the weekend, 8:22 and 3:47 ISN times. Cloudy skies, outbreaks of rain, hill fog to begin, a very blustery story from the word go. Those gusts in excess of 50-60 miles an hour, particularly down the Pennine spine. Temperatures will eventually dip, a very mild start, but they will dip throughout the afternoon and early evening as we start to import that much colder air. That gives any showers a wintry feel as we head through into Sunday. Could see a covering right over the tops. Again, very strong to gale force gusts in exposure and then settling down towards the big day.
TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
There you go, that's your forecast, and just enough time to wish you all a very happy and safe and peaceful Christmas.
Yeah, this might be the final full calendar before Christmas, but we'll be here with bulletins throughout the festive season, and of course you can keep up to date over on our website.
Yes, thanks very much for being with us this year. But before we go, we're going to leave you with the Sheffield Community Choir and their version of Silent Night from the beautiful Sheffield Cathedral.
From all of us here at Calendar, good night, a very Merry Christmas, and we'll see you in the new year. From all of us here, take care and bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye.
It was a silent night.